Snow, we've waited 4 long years for this.
4 long
5 years, actually.
years.
5 years.
Oh,
2020. Yeah. It'll be 5 years this year.
It's finally here.
Yes. And one of our first supporters, well, actually, one of the first critics of the podcast, Brent Terhune.
Still a critic, by the way, just so you guys know.
Oh, no, we need
Yes.
constructive criticism.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, so welcome. Hey, how did Indiana make out with the storms last week?
There was a lot of flooding, I guess. Not where I live, but I saw a lot of flooding on my way home yesterday. So houses submerged, which is not usual around here. So that's a good sign, right?
So you're up near Indianapolis, right?
Yeah.
And you were coming back from Pennsylvania over the weekend?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How'd those shows go over?
They were good. I did. One was people coming to see me on purpose, and then one was I do a lot of fundraiser charity stuff. So one that one was for Relay for Life. So it's a weird duality of being squeaky clean and none of the filth that you know me for.
Is Relay for Life, is that the cancer?
Yeah, that's I think it's the cancer walk thing.
Yeah, I've done that before. Okay.
Yeah. So that's it was the weird dynamic of performing at a private golf course type thing, and they're having raffles and trying to raise money for a good cause, which was great.
Awesome. So, we know you from, it was, I guess, even before COVID, you came up with, I don't even know what you call him, the redneck that you love to hate. It's more like
He's an alpha male. He's an alpha male is what he is. So that's what I call him, is alpha male.
How did you come up with that character?
I just saw people. I did exactly what I saw people do. So burning Nikes in their backyard was the first one I did. And I just did exactly what they did. And I realized, like, from that one, people like, you're an idiot. I'm like, no, clearly if you just took a second to listen, I'm doing the complete opposite. But of course, I'm asking the internet a lot to when I'm saying listen for more than 10 seconds. That's a big ask on the internet,
Yeah, because you trick a lot of people. We
get
people to watch you, and they're like folks on our side will be like, "What's with this guy?" And I'm like, "You guys listen. You'll hear the jokes. Like he's actually making fun of them."
Yeah, and it's weird if people watch the whole video, will comment something from the end of the video, and then still think I'm stupid or what. It's like you watch the whole thing and you still didn't understand. So at that point, I can't even help you.
Did your career kind of take off with that character, or?
I mean, I've been doing stand-up for a long time, almost 20 years this fall. But yeah, I mean, I do have people come to see me on purpose, that's how I phrase it, is sometimes you do the Relay for Life show and nobody's there to see you. So the pressure is just to not swear. And then you have shows where you're like, oh, this is a me show. I need people to come out to see me, So it definitely did help because, if they didn't know me from those videos, I'm just there Saturday night because they went out to see comedy,
So I have a question. Do you ever do stand-up as your character, as the alpha male?
Yeah, I do. I don't. That's never been my whole show, but I'll do it at the end, like a kind of a best of what people have seen, because I'm not unaware of why somebody would come see my show. So if Radiohead didn't play your favorite song, then you'd be like, that was a good show, but I wish they did that thing that I know them for. So yeah, I do it at the end, but it also depends on if I'm doing that show Friday night like I did. That was people coming to see me, so I did it then, but I didn't do it the next night because people would be like, what is this guy talking about? We don't even know him from this, Yeah,
because I sent one of your videos to the girl at my work who's also a ginger, the one about the ginger crate.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good one. And she liked it. She's like, now I know what you're getting me for Christmas.
Yeah. There, I'll say right now, it's Ginger Crate. So, and I've probably seen her at the meetings. So tell her I said hi.
Is it true that you were a substitute teacher before you
I
got
was a substitute teacher. Yeah, I think I did that for a few years, and I got a really good bit out of it, as you probably are referencing. But yeah, I would substitute every subject, but I realized quickly if I could do like music class, that's a guaranteed pop in a movie. Like I'm not going to be teaching the clarinet because I don't know how to do that. So I would do music or PE stuff where it's like I'm not really teaching a subject, because I would do like math, and I'd be like, well, now I got to relearn this and not look like an idiot. Where's that teacher's book at? I need the answers.
well, Snow's mom's a teacher, so
Oh yeah, she
Okay.
need to tell you. By the way, she's like, tell Brent that I love him and not in a creepy way.
That's good. I understand. Not creepy. What does she teach?
She's a retired teacher, but she used to teach
Okay.
elementary school, like almost
Yeah.
all the grades, I think, except for second grade.
Yeah. That's a tough gig. And, everybody says that, but it really is to manage 20 to 30 different personalities and then at the end of the day, have them know whatever you were talking about, to then do it tonight at home for homework. It's
Yeah.
not an easy job.
No, it's not. Your job doesn't end either. You go home and you're grading papers, doing lesson plans.
Or you're going to the second job because that job doesn't pay enough. That's your passion, and then you got to go do the other thing.
I know. And I always tell people, I go, teachers have been buying school supplies since the 80s. I mean, probably even before then, but that's how long I knew that they were doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
did you get to hone your stand-up skills doing substitute teaching? I mean, because you're doing crowd work and
Yeah, it was a little bit of that, because my instincts were, if some kid was trying to be funny or make a joke, that's a heckler. So my comedian brain is like, got to shut him down. But then I realized you can't be zinging a 10-year-old, because nobody's talked to them like that. But nobody's given back the same sass usually. So I had to temper my just my responses. And it was like, some of these kids are just genuinely funny, and you want to laugh, but then that's fuel to the fire. So you got to just pull back a little bit. But it definitely was stand up, is me up there talking, and it's very intimidating, because you're being judged in a different way than audience members. Audience members most times want to be there. These kids have to be there.
Yeah. And they're sometimes brutally honest.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if a kid tells you something, it's the truth. It's not a fabrication.
What's the worst heckler you've ever had?
I've never had like usually when you see hecklers in movies and stuff like that, it's a guy being malicious, it's somebody being an intentional asshole, and usually it's just drunk people that don't know they're too drunk. It's somebody that's hurting the show, but not in the way that like they're doing it intentionally. It's somebody that's really loud, having too much fun, and there's a distraction in the room. Like I had one last week, and that first time in a long time. Of course, I had family at that show, so they got to see what my dreams are like as a drunk guy yelling. And then I engaged a little bit, because you kind of have to, but and it's also, he was so drunk that even my insults weren't reaching him. You know what I'm saying? He was knowing what I was saying, but he didn't know that they were insults. And eventually one of the producers just came in and walked the guy out, and I let it just be very silent the whole time, and we all watched. And it was very awkward for everybody, I think, except for me, because I'm used to awkward situations. I've been doing stand up long enough to sometimes that just happens. So as soon as he was gone, then I talked about him, because I've also seen people talk shit about the people on the way out, and then that gets them to turn around and then come back and want to start a fight or whatever. So, and this guy was just loudly repeating what I was saying. So then it would get in the way of the next joke. So it wasn't malicious, thankfully. I've seen fights and stuff during shows, but it was never when I was on stage. One of my early shows that I did was there was a fight between two audience members, and then like the show was just over. The crowd got up and walked out. So that was like a crazy one, but that wasn't even me on stage. The headliner was like, "No, I got it. You don't have to come back up here," because I was hosting at the time. And yeah, it was a big melee all the way out to the street.
What was like the most awkward you felt on stage, like when you bombed or something like that, or you could just tell that the crowd just wasn't there with you?
Yeah. Well, when I bomb, I'll let you guys know, because it's not happened yet. No. That happens, you know. The better you get, hopefully less frequently, but also sometimes for whatever reason in the room, it's just, you know, she dragged him to the show and he didn't even want to be there. And then there's a weird dynamic of, oh, my parents are in the room and I can't laugh at the sex jokes because then they'll know that we have sex even though we're 30. It's, you know, it's like sometimes the room is a weird dynamic. And I guess the most awkward things was probably recently that guy of just, I sat there and watched him, and it was probably a full minute of silence and everybody looking, and then also the guy being like, "What? I gotta go." Okay. And then he like told his table bye. It was very awkward, but also sometimes that's the most fun for me, you know. Other than that, the awkward stuff, um, probably you just say the wrong thing. Like at the cancer charity show. I don't even have jokes about cancer, but in my act, I'm going through it as I'm doing it. Like, don't make a joke about that. Why would I do that? But now that they're like, don't do it. Then it's like, do I have anything that's even slightly offensive to people? You know? So usually it's just drunk people and then dealing with the fallout of that.
They've been doing this 20 years now.
Almost 20 years. It'll be a few months. I started it in high school when I was 16. In high school, so they would do like little. It was called a coffee house, so they'd have acoustic guitar and poetry in the library, and I just went up and did stand up, which is dangerous when you're a sophomore, because if you sucked, which I probably did a little bit, then you've got 3 years for people to see you in the hallway being like, remember when that guy sucked doing comedy? So pretty soon after I did the stand up, I started hosting like Battle of the Bands and the talent show. I was in the talent show. And then they also did improv at high school, and they just called it Whose Line Is It Anyway? They didn't even change it, but it was just like what you would see on the show was improv. So I started doing all that pretty early when I was 16.
Who your influences? Like for me, it was George Carlin. Not like I'm
Mm-hmm.
any stretch. Very young, George Carlin, I just thought was a genius, even back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's definitely one of them, and a guy I look up to, and also, just re-listened to his book and then his daughter's book this past year. Um, him and every comic's going to say George Carlin and Richard Pryor, so those are you say those, but then what are the other contemporary ones? So like there's a lot of guys that were on the Bob and Tom show. I don't know if you guys know that show, but it's a nationally syndicated radio show, and for a long time that show could really help your career. Now it would be like a Joe Rogan type, but you would go on and they would set you up to do your jokes. And there are certain guys that have come out of that show that have really had great careers since then, like a Greg Warren or Roy Wood Jr. is kind of everywhere now. Roy Wood Jr., Chad Daniels is a current one that I really like. Maria Bamford, people like that. And then like working clubs and hosting forever, when I first started, you just see these guys that, the term would be like he's a road dog. You wouldn't know him, but he's been doing it longer than anybody else. Some of those guys, there's a reason that they've been in the industry long enough. It's just for whatever reason they didn't hit. But if you look them up, they've been on the Tonight Show or Letterman like literally 15 times. And you talk with your peers, you're like, how is this guy so successful but yet an unknown? You know what I'm saying? So like those guys too that just keep doing it. So and John Panette, I don't know if you guys know John Panette I love him. So yeah, those guys, and I'm sure I'm missing 100 other comedians.
Yeah, I got I know Rich Voss pretty well, and he's one of them, just been out there just doing it forever, and
yeah. And like I saw him on Last Comic Standing. So you get to that show was helpful to 30 comedians a year, whatever it was when it was on. So then you see who spun out of that show and had tremendous careers, like a Gabriel Iglesias. That guy sells out stadiums. And really, when you think about it, what TV has he done? He had a Netflix show, but that was fairly recently. There are guys like Brian Regan or Jim Gaffigan who have limited TV exposure, but yet will fill a stadium. It's these guys that just do stand up. And that's always amazing to me. Kathleen Madigan is the other one who I think she was on Last Comic Standing, but really, she's selling out theaters. But what TV show has she done?
You tour nationally?
Yeah, wherever the money's right. It's not about the money, but I can't fly and Uber and all that stuff to a town and lose money, so I go wherever. So I don't know that I've done all 50 states. I've done Canada. I go wherever. So, and sometimes you do it for the story. Like I did a prison show one time, and why would you take that other than this for the story,
What prison?
It was the Luther Luckett Correctional Facility, and that's in Kentucky. So I pulled up, and there were two prisons next to each other. I think one was the women's and one was the men's. So we did the men's, and it was like 300 prisoners in the gym of the prison, and we're standing center court of the basketball court with a Radio Shack set up. And just doing jokes, and there was one guard for the 300 as far as I could tell. I'm sure there were others watching. And then to get to the basketball court, we had to walk through the yard with the one guard, and they were coming up to us being like, are you guys going to be funny? Well, we hope, but it was like we were the thing to do that day. So everybody knew what was going on. They knew that we weren't supposed to be there, and the show was as intimidating as you think it would be, but it went well. And the headliner was a guy who he's a comedian, but he's also a theater teacher, and he teaches like prisoners, so he was very used to the whole system. So he did really well. But it was the show that was you do it for the story, because you hear Johnny Cash performing at a prison, but you forget that Johnny Cash was Johnny Cash. You don't think that Brent Terhune, who is that? I was just a guy.
Hey, you were like the Johnny Cash of comedians, though.
But I wasn't. Nobody knew who I was.
Johnny
and
Cash
with music,
Johnny Cash at that time, though.
Yeah.
So once you blow up,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
was he famous when he started? When he was doing the prison thing?
Yeah. So and I've done that. I've done a nudist resort. I've done I did an open.
How was that?
They were naked. We were naked.
Well, I mean, that's like going in front of pretending like the audience is naked and they are. So
okay, this might
easier.
This might help the visual. What city was it?
It was in Michigan in February. So
okay, well,
shrinkage is real, guys. It was one of those where it was a nudist resort, but it was very much a campground. It was a lifestyle place. So you're not just setting up camp if you don't know what this is, and everybody couldn't have been nicer. And it was one of those where me and the other comedian were there, and everybody knew we weren't one of them. It's very much the prison type aspect, and they gave us the tour of the place. They had very very few rules, but the one was you had to be naked in the pool. You didn't have to be naked anywhere else, but you had to be naked in the pool, and you got to put a towel down like it's the gym if you sit. So it
You
was
go in the pool?
So
did I go in the pool?
Yeah,
I
did you go
didn't.
in the pool?
No, I did go to the pool, but I didn't get in. It was, we just did the show, but we were out on the middle of the dance floor, so it's very much like performing at one of those wedding venues or one of those private golf courses where you're center court or middle of the dance floor and the people are just sitting there around you. And that this was a regular thing for them. So they've been used to stand up and they've heard all of the naked jokes. So, and then also, I think we sold after the show, we sold merch, and it's weird to sell shirts to naked people,
Well, if you ever get out west, I'm sure you've been to Vegas. We're opening Kingman in the fall at about 300 seats. So
Okay.
Or not, but Kingman is.
Not us personally, but
You guys? No. Yeah, I've been out to it was Arizona, right?
Kingman.
I've been to Phoenix, but it's been a while, so I'm due to come back. It's just I know the sun is worse there. I know gingers don't do well in the sun. You know that, Snow, with your friend.
Well, you can perform in Kingman exclusively as the alpha male, and it would just be like you're up on stage just talking to your people.
Yeah, see, just get it. We live in Paul Gosar's district.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it'd be an hour-long standing ovation is what you're telling me.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm getting on the flight now, guys. I'd love it.
Speaking of the alpha male, I wanted to tell you my favorite ones are when he cries. When he cries.
I do.
Donald Trump.
I love to cry in the videos because he goes from a 10 out of 10 anger, and then it's such a quick change to tears because you do see those guys in real life on TikTok and wherever where they're angry and they just get all in their emotions. But I love to cry at stuff of like, please just make the green M&M sexy again. I can't stand it. Like the most the craziest topics he cries at, and I do love that, and it adds another layer to the character of rather than angry the whole time.
Yeah, the one with the boats. You were crying when your boats.
Yeah, that, and if people know me at all, it's probably because of that video. And there are a few different types of videos I do, and there's like the boat one, and then there's one where there are obvious jokes of like they're eating the cats and the dogs, where I can see how many pet and animal jokes I can get into 3 minutes. And that they're obvious jokes, hopefully obvious, but like, again, you'd be surprised people not getting it. And then there's the boat one where I really don't make any jokes. It's I'm not intentionally doing a setup punch, you know what I'm saying? But if I said I couldn't tell what was port and what were starboard, and then a bunch of other nautical terms happened, if you understand that that's a joke, then it's funny. But it's like two different types there's a tone to those, videos.
Right. I like post them on social media, and my friends are like, just like, why do you keep pushing this guy? I'm like, you don't get it. Snow's not on social media, so whenever you put out something new, I'm like, Snow.
Here. Well, how is it not being on social media, Snow? Because that sounds great.
It is great. I used to be on Facebook a long time ago, but I deleted my account when that the whistleblower came out and said this stuff about like basically verifying how the algorithms that allow like the bullying and all that. So I was like, I don't be on this anymore.
Yeah. Was that the only one you were on?
I'm still on Instagram, but I never go on there. I mean, I have the app, but
Yeah.
I think today I got put in timeout on Nextdoor. I went on Nextdoor because they at least have stuff on there like local people who do yard work and stuff, that promote their
Mm-hmm.
business. But I couldn't help myself and I put a meme on there and I think I got thrown into timeout.
Well, yeah, it was.
Oh, it was the meme where it's got all the MAGA people out in front of the Rena Center and it said MAGA standing in line to rent a lib since they can't afford to own one anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. And I do like that Nextdoor has become your social media, because it is like,
Old people.
yeah, and that's a weirder social, because it's based on your location, so you could just see that person at the store. I saw that meme and I don't like it. Social media in general, rarely are you going to run into somebody, but you could be in line at the store and be like, I saw that. I didn't appreciate that. I love that we've used like everything as a social media platform kind of now.
Right?
Snow trolls people in real life. What was the shirt you wore into Walmart a couple weeks ago?
Oh, it said, I hope you get exactly what you voted for.
Mm-hmm. And only would you get mad at that if you there's it's like you decide for yourself if you get mad at that shirt. Did you get any looks?
I got a ton of dirty looks, but nobody said anything. And my mom was all worried. She's like, well, be careful. You live in a town of psychos. I'm like, when I got home, I was like, everything went well. I got a ton of dirty looks, but they didn't say anything because they didn't have their keyboards in front of them in order to say shit to me.
Yeah.
The bit you do about wanting to be a Bigfoot hunter, did that come from your childhood or anything like that? Like being like when I was a kid, I was like a big into Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Over my shoulder, it's hard to tell. It's kind of in the dark, but I got the video of Bigfoot crossing the creek bed.
Right.
It's called the Patterson Gimlin film. I met one of the guys at a horror convention that had like a weird cryptid part, and I met him and got him to sign that picture because that was like one of the earlier scares that I got in my childhood, was seeing Bigfoot on, like, I think it was a show called Real TV, where they were just one of those clip shows, and it scared me for whatever reason. So I saw he was going to be there and I was like, I got to get this guy to sign the picture. And we met him, got our picture taken with him. But yeah, I've always loved Bigfoot. I don't know that he's real at all, or if you want to be nitpicky, she, because the one in the video is apparently a woman named Patty, because you could see her breasts in the video is what they say. But yeah, we should have found one by now, especially when we all have a movie studio in our pocket. We should have found something. But yeah, I love all that stuff. That's fun to me. I love the Loch Ness Monster, and I love all the History Channel shows that aren't about history. They're about aliens and Bigfoot and all that. That's just something I've always loved.
Well, when I was a kid, I was probably 3 or 4. I was afraid of the almost snowman from Rudolph.
Yep.
The funniest thing to be afraid of. And she mocks him, but she's afraid of the Count from Sesame Street.
I hated him.
A one. And then now Michael, you're talking to Yukon Cornelius. So I don't mean to scare you or anything.
That's true.
I always though because of Harry and the Hendersons.
But we do have a Bigfoot story if you want to hear it. Our producer, Ray, had an encounter with a Bigfoot. She'll be in the picture in just a minute.
All right, let me get over here.
Story time.
Hey, Brent.
Hey.
So I have a story of Bigfoot. My brother is not a Bigfoot hunter, but he's a Sasquatch shaman, and he has been with the Sasquatch for 20 years now, just as long as you've been doing stand-up comedy. And every year or so, I'll get a message from my brother, a new story about what's going on in the Sasquatch world. So I wanted to share a little story with you.
Yeah.
All right. The Forest Kids. The Forest Kids woke me a little after 3 a.m. just 7 hours ago. The first kid's call sounded somewhat like a mountain lion cub's chirp, but musical, akin to a tropical bird. The second kid's call was so unusual, I can only compare it to a lemur or a capybara chirp. The third kid's call was almost familiar. Imagine a young fox getting bombed by a great horned owl and the alert that fox would issue. It was slightly musical like a gibbon and slightly pretty like a peacock. The kids each made their call about 8 times, while the first 2 kids calling over each other's calls as though they were competing. As soon as I laughed out loud saying, "Did you guys just get back from jet set and vacation to a South American jungle? Now you're back to show off your new talents?" The third kid answered with 1, mind speak, something like that. 2, heartfelt love, what some refer to as a zap, or more accurately, kundalini. 3, and his odd fox cry, all at once and at the same moment. He repeated his call, inviting me to mimic like a young mother might repeat apple juice to their toddler. Apple juice. We took 3 turns mimicking his box call, Kundalini exchange, and mind speak. By the end of this exchange, we verified that the forest kid was driving a fox that barked in prime numbers at me from 40 yards just a few nights ago. Again, these barks were just a little too long in duration and too numerous to be anything ordinary. I closed the mind speak with, "I'm going to record audio of your odd fox call." As I fumbled for the cheap Android phone and microphone, the chaperone let out a few great horn calls, telling the kids to go silent. I recorded for a few minutes. Nothing. Afterwards, I sat in absolute silence listening. Nothing. Then I got mind speak from Foxy. "Put the country music back on." I had fallen asleep at dark, leaving my country mix playing all night. Who knows how long those kids were hanging around the embers of the campfire, listening to music through my snoring, before they got bored and woke me up for the call competition. I turned the music back on. Some raunchy Wheeler Walker type of songs, lyrics about pussy farts or some such thing. I immediately got a mind speak, the old stuff. I fell back to sleep playing Don Edwards songs for Foxy. This morning I checked the finely raked sand for tracks. Nothing. Not even the usual mouse, beetle, nor skunk. So I haven't shared that before, and it's a pleasure to share that with you, Brett.
Yes.
That's cool. Where does you said it's your brother, right?
I'll send you a copy of my book here. Weird King.
Please.
All about UFO,
Yeah.
Sasquatch,
And Kingman.
and the weirdness of Kingman.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and yeah, we can even, if we come to West Coast tour, we can go looking for Sasquatch and all the weird UFO shit we got around here.
Yeah, you guys are are you in the desert?
The high desert.
Yeah, high desert. We're
Okay.
back an hour and a half from Las Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The place, so jail Calvin. We went up there last because we had him on the podcast. We went up there and he invited us to a pod jam too. And afterwards, we're hanging out with him at an after party. And on the Uber ride back, Snow was trying to get him to do Robert De Niro.
He said he could do
like all day.
Mhm.
And he's like, "No, I'm trying to practice. I really don't feel like doing that." And we've had a few cocktails now, and this Uber ride back, and Snow's just like, "You're good." Nailed down.
He finally did it.
By the time he did it, we pulled into the hotel parking lot. He's doing De Niro. But he found the rhythm of it as we're walking back to our rooms and stuff like that. He's quoting Meet the Parents.
I have nipples. Can you milk me?
Exactly.
Yeah, he's such a great impressionist. He has ones that not everybody has. He has the Louis C.K. impression, which is really good. I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but I love an impressionist that, so many people do Christopher Walken, and I love that. But some people do those obscure ones where I'm like, oh, you do Rip Torn, the actor Rip Torn,
Your guys' interaction, that was really good too, where you played your character and then he played Trump. And of course you started crying right from the start because you were so happy to get to talk to him.
I'm talking to the Messiah right here. I gotta break down in tears. It's such a beautiful sight, you know.
Yeah.
I guess thank you for everything you've done over the years for us. But we have always been a big advocate of the LGBT plus community, and we always do our show live, quote unquote, live from the Mojave Pride Fest every year. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the incident at the Chatterbox.
Yeah. Yeah, so people that are unaware, it was maybe 3 weeks ago at the time of this recording, 4 weeks, but there was the video from what I've seen. The lady goes into this it's a bar called Chatterbox, which is on Massachusetts Avenue here in Indianapolis. So Mass Ave is kind of a theater district. And if people say where do the gays hang out, I'd be like, go to Mass Ave. So this lady goes into the Chatterbox with a MAGA hat, and she'd already been kicked out previously, just seconds or minutes before, and now she's comes back in and is filming, and then they kicked her out again, and that's the video. If you search Chatterbox MAGA, probably it'll come up, but gets kicked out, and of course the bartender stands up for the bar and gives this lady the boot. And then if you look at the front of the Chatterbox, it's a big pride flag. So the lady knew definitely what she was doing, but that's kind of the incident, and that was made the news everywhere for at least a few days. And with the news cycle the way it is, it's ancient news now. With 8 things have happened a day since then, but that was the incident. Is the lady got booted for wearing a MAGA hat, going probably to instigate, and she was using the wrong pronouns for everybody and just harassing. And as well as I do, if you guys have ever been in a bar, the people that are arguing with the bartender are usually sane and sober and polite.
It was so great though what you did, making the video and sticking up for.
Yeah, I will say you made us laugh in that actual video. We got like a little misty.
I got teary eyed, and not from laughing on that one. Yeah.
Well, I think what I said in the video people need to hear, and who am I to do it? But I do have a platform, so I like to use it for good. And that kind of stuff happens all the time. It's just we don't have video footage of it. And then the LGBTQ community deals with that all the time, and sometimes they probably don't feel like they have people on their side, or friends, or people that care. There's a high suicide rate in that community, so I think it's important to just let people know. And also if you have a lot of hate in your heart for those people, it's a possibility that somebody that are gay and that you don't know because of the way you act. So I just think people should rethink their actions and their words, especially when you're putting it in concrete on the internet, which is forever.
Right.
Yeah, and you're a big supporter of the Trevor Project.
Yeah, the trevorproject.org is a thing where you can go if you're an LGBTQ youth. So if you don't have people in your life, if your parents they'd give you the boot if they knew you were gay. It's a place you can go for 24-hour support, call, text, email. And I was just on the site, and I thought they had a really fun feature I've never seen. But if you tap on the screen 3 times, the website disappears. So if you have somebody that walks in the room and you're on the gay site, you're not supposed to be, you can tap the screen 3 times and it'll disappear, which I thought was a cool feature.
Yeah, that is
cool. All right, I guess we'll end this with your big horror movie buff.
Yeah, what's your favorite scary movies, both you guys?
When I was a kid, The Shining scared me. But now watching it as an adult, I find it more humorous more than anything. Like Jack's character was just funny. As far as scary, man, I think the last movie that scared me was, Signs, the one with the aliens. And
the M. Night Shyamalan. There's a good scare in that where you get to see the alien just quick. And that's all you need is that quick interaction with the alien. It's kind of a jump scare.
How about you, Snow?
My favorite ones were always Nightmare on Elm Street. I liked Freddy the best.
Yeah.
It was the most, like, you go to sleep, you die in your dreams, you're going to die in real life.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching
you're
years old on HBO, at night. I was like, I was scared shitless.
Yeah, he creeped me out. So
and you're going to sleep. You have to sleep, so you're going to get God eventually.
Yeah. You're in trouble. Everyone's in trouble.
Yeah. And he's funny. He's, a lot of the other slasher guys can't talk or don't talk, but he'll say, "Welcome to prime time, bitch," and all that. Like, just, he's funny. Yeah.
What has come out over the last couple of years that you would recommend?
One I just saw last week for the first time. I watched it for my podcast. It's called "They're Coming to Get You." We do an episode a week about a horror movie. We pick a movie and, of course, watch it and talk about it. It's me and another comedian, and we try to make it funny. But The Substance, which I hadn't seen yet, but it was up for Oscars or something like that. I don't remember, but it's body horror, which I'm usually not a fan of. So when teeth and fingernails start falling off, I'll watch them, but that's not my go-to thing because I'm paranoid about my teeth falling out and not necessarily my fingernails, but stuff falling off your body when it shouldn't. That one was really good because it kind of, she takes the substance, Demi Moore takes the substance, and then you get a younger version of her. And of course, in true horror movie fashion, it goes wrong. But that's been one that I've really liked. And then Hereditary and Midsummer are ones that I really love. Tony Collette and Hereditary was a terrific performance. So those are the ones I like, but there's rarely any that I'm like, oh, I hate it. So Hellraiser, I hate Hellraiser, if that rings a bell with you guys.
I remember Pinhead. Isn't that his name?
Yeah, Pinhead, that's the guy. Yeah. I hate it. Don't like it.
Hate him.
Did you watch the Saturday afternoon Monster Mash movies? Like the guy?
Yeah. I like I just like the hokiness of it too, So those old 50s movies where they're like, we're shooting this week and then next week this set will be something else. So make it quick. We got to get through it. I love the old classic ones too.
Did you see the remake of Godzilla, the Japanese version, the Toho?
Yeah, I did. And I hated it. You got to read so much. No, I did like it. I thought it was great. And of course, Godzilla, a Godzilla movie is usually not about Godzilla. It's about the people. And so every zombie movie is not about zombies. It's about the people. So if you could tell a good story that way, I love it. So I did think the new Godzilla was really good.
What's your all-time favorite, though? Yeah. Horror movie.
Yeah. I mean, Halloween is my favorite.
Frankenstein?
It's Halloween.
Oh, Halloween. Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's Michael Myers, but that's the new 2018 one.
Okay.
And then up there you can see a bunch of stuff too, but I collect a bunch of horror toys and stuff. Yeah. It's a fun thing when I go on the road. If I've been to the city before, I have my spots that I like to hit up, and it's something fun to do on the road that also is expensive, which is great, guys. I just love it to spend a bunch of money.
Our studio is kind of something a little similar, but we may have a drinking problem.
I don't know if it's a problem. You guys seem to be fun. But yeah, you go to where do you guys get you have a bunch of drinking signs behind you. Do you have spots where you get those?
I've just collected them randomly over the years. Just anytime I would go to an antique shop or any kind of little shop that had them, and I'm like, oh, I got to have that one. I don't have something like that yet.
Yeah, I can't tell all of them, but it looks like American pickers would buy some of those, the good vintage looking ones.
Right on. If I ever need to unload some, all right.
I'll give you half the value for it right now because I got to sell it in my stores now. Is what they do. But Yeah, Halloween is my favorite. But I also love those classic monsters. The Invisible Man is my favorite of like the universal horror monsters, and he doesn't get enough love. So, and rightfully so. He's a terrible person, but I do like the character a lot.
Yeah, well, I think we're gonna keep drinking over at least the next, 3.5 years until this thing ends. But
Oh, you think it's going to end in 3.5 years? That's funny.
we're being optimistic.
Yeah.
We still believe in democracy.
Yeah. Well, let's hope he does too. So
But
we'll see.
the one thing that does get us through this, and we do mean this sincerely, is your videos. It's just something to make you laugh at the end of the day after all this craziness. You're reading these headlines, and then about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll put out one of your videos on social media, and we're just like, oh,
It's the best.
that's awesome. So
It's cathartic for me as well to process it into humor. And I do get a lot of people that come up to me at shows and say, "You got me through COVID," or "Thanks for your videos." What you said, and I think it helps people, but also it helps me to at least put some laughter on the madness. And it's you could laugh or cry, and I know we've done our fair share of crying, but laughing definitely helps you get to the next chaotic event.
Well, again, thank you very much for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Hope to have you on again sometime. And whenever you're Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, hey, we're gonna come to see you. Whenever.
Yeah, I'll hit you guys up.
Go to a show, and I still got to go to Indiana. Do you perform there a lot, like around?
Yeah, I do spots around, so you guys can always hit me up when you come to Indy, and if I'm not here, I can direct you to all the spots. At least there's a lot of good bars. The Slippery Noodle is like the oldest bar in the city, I think, and it's just blues. It's I think they have 3 stages of blues going on a night. So, or the Chatterbox is another good one. But yeah.
I've been to because my work's based out of Jasper, Indiana, so I'd gone up there for it was a NASCAR Indy weekend, but they had the Indy cars all the same weekend, and just to step onto that racetrack was just like my little 8-year-old self was kind of like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I'm here in the history of that.
You've done it more than I have, because I'm in the wrong city. I don't care for racing or football or anything, but it's I've been to the track before, and it is a spectacle for sure. And it's one of those things that, like, if you travel, you could be like Indianapolis, and they're like Indy 500. I'm like, yep, that's the thing that we're known for,
So you mean to tell me you're not a Colts fan?
The character is a Colts fan for sure, but if we're cheering, sure, it's the Colts. But I'm not a. What's that?
He deserves misery then.
He deserves. Yeah. Well, he's miserable. He's gonna find a way to be miserable regardless of whatever's happening. But the hat I wear in a lot of my videos is a Colts hat, and I purposely cut the grass in that, and I don't wash it because I heard that Sacha Baron Cohen doesn't wash the Borat suit, so I don't wash the hat, and it's filthy. And people are like, "Can I put it on?" I'm like, "You can, but I wouldn't want to."
Speaking of Sacha Baron Cohen, we'll end on this because this is the Kingman thing. Do you remember
This is America?
This is America. He did like the Showtime.
Yeah, I remember that it happened, and I think I had it saved to watch, but I haven't seen any of it yet because I like what he does.
He does one where he wants to build a mosque, and it's actually Mojave County, and you watch that, and the people in this video are like the alpha male guy, but serious. And that, if you want to know what Kingman is like, watch that episode.
Kingman got outraged over it. They were the mayor at the time made a video. This so-called comedian's gonna come in here and make fun of our town. It's like,
yeah, well,
you guys do,
and I'm sure he kind of. I'm sure there was jokes and making fun, but also you guys were just who you are, and you probably didn't like that people showed that he showed the rest of the world how you actually are. That's another issue with you, so.
Well, yeah, because I told him, I go, what do you guys walk around this town with your eyeballs poked out? People do act like that here.
Yeah, he's just showing everybody else. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out.
Okay. All right, well, we'll let you go. This is, we wanted to have you on since the beginning of this. We just never.
Since we found out about
we
him.
never.
Yeah. Well, just all you got to do is ask, and I'll probably say yes. So,
despite listening to us, you did say yes.
Right.
Yeah. Now I'm regretting every decision I've ever made, if we're being honest.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you too.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.